This book is The 19 Years of Life and the Return of the Prince Lion of Abyssinia, Spiritual Soul.
This book here is called Prince Alemayehu Tewodros, and he was the son, the heir to the kingdom of Abyssinia through his father, who was Emperor King Tewodros. And he was the one that was taken to England as a guardian. He was beloved by the guest Victoria, or the Queen Victoria. Okay, I am Sean Alemayehu Tewodros, the great-great-grandson of ATSE Tewodros, the second of Abyssinia, who was a king from 1855 to 1868.
In the late 1700s, the Jewish population had declined to less than 500,000 people. With the accession of King Theodore to the throne in the mid-1800s, Ethiopia gained its greatest ruler since Caleb. Theodore subdued his rivals and united the country under his strong, centralized rule. The Ethiopian Jews saw Theodore's success as a prelude to the coming of the Messiah.
My grandmother from my mother's side, it was early 2000s, she told me one time we were Ethiopians. But at the time when she told me, my mind wasn't really Ethiopian, no connection, so...
So you ignored it?
I ignored it, basically. But it stayed there, and then one day my father in 2007, he gave me information, and this was after I returned from Iraq, and it was August 2007. And so from there, he started explaining about our family go back to Ethiopia. Yes, my story began with meeting family members over here. One particular would be Abibish Kasa Mashisha, Tewodros. I met her through making my journey through here.
ንግስት ቪክቶሪያ ዲወል ብላ የሰጠቻቸው የላከችላቸው ናት።
But she was first featured on MHR TV, interviewed by the reporter Del Nessa, and from there she was the one who gave information that Tewodros had more than just Alemayehu, Mashisha, and Alatash. So I was seeking out to find her to help bring a connection and close a gap in which I was seeking. For me, it's bigger than me. I'm just, whatever vessel he used me for, I'm just glad I was in that position and able to do and keep going. It's not been easy. It's a lot of sacrifice, as you know, personally know.
He's ordained for men, but for things pertaining to God.
But my father, he started telling me things about Ethiopia, and this was the first time I ever heard him speak about Ethiopia to me. He knew I was getting aware of being, Ethiopian, some type of connection. So he started telling me about our family, and he mentioned that we were Falasha, and which is like what they call Ethiopian Jew.
And led by some of their religious leaders, they attempted to emigrate to Palestine, decades before the birth of Zionism in Europe. Sadly, their dream ended in disease and starvation.
So I'm going to England to uncover his background, and there's a mystery I have to add with this book.
What's the mystery?
That he was supposed to have been buried there, but there appears to be no grave that they can verify, because Ethiopia, over 13 years ago, I believe, had requested for the bones and the body of the prince to come back. It may have been 10 years, so my accuracy on the years may not be just as accurate, but it's a request made from the Ethiopian president, and they still have not brought his body back yet. And when I went to England and St. George Chapel, I wanted to go to the site to pay respect to, the grave. They say they don't know where it's at. So,
So they can't find his grave.
Right.
They're just not letting you know where his grave is.
Or maybe he disappeared on them and they didn't know what to do and just said that, hey, he died and we buried him here.
He's real. He's still alive. He's real. He's still alive. According to the Bible, he's alive. According to the Quran of the Mohammedans, he's real. He's still alive.
Yes, my story began with meeting family members over here. One particular would be Abibish Kasa Mashisha, Tewodros. I met her through making my journey through here, but she was first featured on EMPRESS TV, interviewed by the reporter Nessa, and from there she was the one who gave information that Tewodros had more than just Alemayehu, Meshisha, and Alatash. So I was seeking out to find her to help bring a connection and close a gap in which I was seeking. Well, once I arrived in Ethiopia, I didn't know that the event, Magdala 150 years, was taking place.
Also during Theodore's reign, Henry Stern and other Protestant missionaries based in London devoted themselves to converting Ethiopia's Jews to Christianity. Stern told the Falashas that Judaism was a dead religion and the Jews of the world had accepted Christianity. Stern was eventually imprisoned by Theodore when he gravely insulted the emperor during a royal audience. A British army was sent to rescue Stern and his fellow missionaries. General Napier led the English expeditionary army that defeated Theodore at the Battle of Magdala, where Theodore took his own life rather than face the disgrace of capture.
And he was the one that was taken to England as a guardian. He was beloved by the guest Victoria, or the Queen Victoria. And from there, about a month, I tried to contact him again to get him to explain more, and at the time he had passed away. So I was kind of stuck with trying to figure out where to go from that point, because from there I re-enlisted to the military. So it took another 5 years to finally travel to Ethiopia.
So wait. So your father fed you some seeds and told you that your family had an Ethiopian connection.
Yes.
But before you could really take a deep dive with your father, he had passed away.
Yes.
Okay, so it took you an additional 5 years before you were able to pick back up the ball again. What made you pick the ball back up?
Well, I was finally retired from the military in 2012, and that was the time I had the opportunity the first time to go to Ethiopia. So I was trying to plan, I was trying to study as much as I could, and so I finally made that journey. And from there, I was able to see the things my father was explaining to me. Man, at the time, I did not meet any family members during this time, but the statues and the places in the name of ATSE Tewodros, which is pretty much translated as Emperor King Tewodros. Then that's when I found out that's who my father was directing me to. Yeah, but the Falashas, who are known as Beta Israel, they were already gone to Israel at this point, so I could not make a connection from there, and I did not know of any other children that Tewodros had. So families, even from Captain Speedy, those family members were also present. Many of the people, the descendants of Tewodros' time, Alemayehu time, from England, India, Ethiopia, many of the descendants, family members, as myself, were there gathered together, and it was a humbling experience because, you know, we're part of a history that has taken place, but yet the surviving family members of today were there together in unison and celebrating the life and of Tewodros II, or excuse me, Emperor King Tewodros II.
See, Melchizedek was a what? Priest after the order of the Most. So the Most High had to say, you are my son. This day have I begotten thee. But he's going to come back with something to say of authority and decision.